All right, we need to...
Right, we're going to go to Ken Schulz now, who has yet another weather advisory to communicate, and let's see if we can take Ken right now. Ken?
Next, Fred. And Doppler. We have Doppler radar showing up. The reason for this would be the fact that we do have a severe thunderstorm and flash flood warning to pass along to you this morning. That for Bullitt, Jefferson, and Hardin counties until 6:30. You can see this area of red, the most intense, passing through downtown Louisville at this moment. And it looks like even into Oldham County, so you folks be on the lookout as well. But for Jefferson, Bullitt, Hardin counties, a severe thunderstorm and flash flood warning until 6:30 this morning. And here's the case, folks. When the rain begins in your community, just pretend you're under a flash flood warning. That's how it's been all morning long. Where it has rained, all those counties are under flash flood warnings this morning in southwest Indiana, western Kentucky. And as this line continues to move to the east, it may aggravate already swollen creeks and streams, so flood warnings will be issued, I'm sure, for areas off to our east. Henry, Shelby, Spencer, Nelson counties, this activity is headed in your direction, so the threat for severe weather as well as flood warnings exist for those counties as well. But for us, Bullitt, Jefferson, Hardin counties, a severe thunderstorm and flash flood warning until 6:30 this morning. This storm has had the history of producing torrential rain, as you've already seen on our live shots, as well as some hail and damaging winds. Although at this moment, according to Doppler radar, we're not really showing that much in the way of windy conditions. It looks like winds are less than 55 miles per hour, but still, they have some gusty winds, heavy rain, and small hail. We'll continue to monitor it, bring you up to date. The entire area is under a tornado watch until about noontime today. Complete forecast in just a few minutes. Rachel, Barry?
I'm going to head out to Chris Turner now. He is at 3rd and Eastern, and it's my understanding, Chris, you had to move some because of the high waters coming up at you.
Well, just a little bit. We had some runoff coming down the parking lot here at U of L where we are standing, and we felt it best to get out of the way and move to a little bit higher ground. But things have let up here a little bit. We're actually not that far from Todd Eckloff, only about a half dozen blocks or so. Things have let up for now. We don't have the pools of water standing along 3rd Street that we did when we talked to you at the top of the newscast at 5:30 this morning. Just a couple of minutes ago, an MSD worker had stopped here in his truck to check on things, see if there were any clogs, that sort of thing, and has now moved up to the other viaduct that's about 300 yards or so up to the other side here, closer to Winkler. And again, they want to keep a close eye on that to make sure that the water can flow if it needs to come down here, of course, and also to get crews in here if it's high enough to necessitate getting police cars and all of that to close it. But so far, it's lightened up, and certainly we don't have the wind and the heavy rain that we had about a half an hour ago, so I guess we just hold our breath for the next couple of hours or so this morning.
Did you lose power there where you are, Chris?
Well, I tell you, it kind of fools you here on the U of L campus because you have so many different lights and buildings that have generators and all that. When we had those large lightning bolts in the sky, those were bright enough that they turned off those sodium vapor lights. You know, those are light sensitive, and the lightning bolt was bright enough that those lights went off quickly, and then eventually came back on in the matter of about 30 seconds or so. So that may make you think the power's going off, but in a sense it's just the street lights.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you, Chris. We'll be checking back with you. That's right. That's why we have Chris Turner out this morning in the thick of things to check things out. First, we have him at 3rd and Eastern. And Chris, it looks like the rain is pretty much stopped where you are.
No, it hasn't stopped. Trust me on that one, Rachel. We've got some more lightning and thunder in the area here as well that makes us a little uneasy. I've turned around from where we were a minute ago. Now we're looking down. And remember we talked about the street lights a minute ago? That lightning bolt just turned them off. And down here is the viaduct on 3rd Street that goes toward Winkler there. The rain has let up. We certainly don't have the water pooling here that we had a half an hour ago. And we also have a situation where if we have any more heavy rain and water starts pooling, you don't want to drive in it. Certainly we found that out yesterday morning with a situation at 13th and Oak, in which a driver became stranded in the high water. The driver able to get out safely. No problems there other than a wet car and probably some repairs later on. But should you run into some standing water this morning, no matter where you are in Kentuckiana, you certainly do not want to drive into it. You want to stop or get turned around, certainly get away from it because the looks of the water can be deceiving. back here live along 3rd Street near the railroad viaducts at Eastern Parkway, between Eastern Parkway and Winkler. Again, the rain is letting up just a little bit. We understand just a couple of minutes ago a report of a traffic problem, some trees down in the 700 block of Eastern Parkway, not too far from here, but certainly Eastern Parkway, a well-traveled thoroughfare this time of the morning. So you might plan a detour around the 700 block there where some of the trees are down. Rachel, Barry?
All right. Thank you, Chris Turner.
Chris.
And great work by our crews this morning.
No kidding. We just got word from our producer, Joelle, in our ear that she's been calling down Breckenridge counties and things like that, and they're just saying a lot of wind and rain, but no damage to speak of. I think Chuck's bringing you something.
Yeah, we've had some isolated reports of some trees down around the region.
Nothing more than that, though?
And now the severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson County has been canceled. We kind of proved the fact that that line was out of Jefferson County. So it's pretty much moving out of those warning counties that we had, Bullitt and Hardin. Jefferson, it's still pretty heavy in Hardin County, but Jefferson County, we're in the clear. It's not going to come back this morning.
Okay.
I've had some isolated reports of some trees down, and I'm sure there's some
the most of it.
ponding water, and I'm sure there's going to be some tricky traffic situations this morning, but it does not look like a repeat of yesterday morning's flooding or Sunday morning severe weather.
Thank goodness. Thanks a lot, Ken. We appreciate it.
Okay.
And up next, we're going to tell you about a charity basketball game, as a matter of fact, for all of the storm victims.
And we'll tell you about a new trend out on the roadways, wet as they may be. It's not just cars anymore. That's coming up in our Kiplinger report. It is now 17 after 6.
All right, Robbie, if you can hang on for 1 second, we're going to go over to Ken Schulz, who has to tell us about some breaking weather here. We're going to come right back to you.
Stay right there, yeah.
All right, Ken?
Oh, we just had a severe thunderstorm warning issued for LaRue and Nelson counties until 7 o'clock this morning. Nelson County, you're not quite under the gun, but this heavy thunderstorm that has been in Bullitt County is headed in your direction. So Nelson, LaRue counties, you have a severe thunderstorm warning until 7 o'clock. A history of some high winds, heavy rain with this particular cell. We've had some trees down around the region, so we're looking for that possibility for these two counties up until 7 o'clock this morning, Eastern Daylight Time. We'll be back with more details in just a few minutes.
All
Rachel,
right.
Barry.
Thanks a lot, Ken. And to the man of the hour, though, Ken Schulz with the very latest. It looks like Jefferson County has a reprieve for right now. Ken?
It looks that way. We still have some rain in the region, that is true, but the heaviest of the weather is this broken line of storms that you see to our east and south right now. Looks like some very heavy weather moving into Owen and Franklin counties of Kentucky. Also Shelby, Spencer, Nelson down into LaRue counties getting your share of heavy weather. You see some flashing indicators down here in parts of Nelson, LaRue counties. This is where we find a severe thunderstorm and flash flood warning in effect until 7 o'clock this morning. This is an indication of winds gusting up to and perhaps exceeding 55 miles per hour, maybe knocking down some trees down there. It's headed towards Washington, Marion, and Taylor counties, so you folks be on the lookout for the potential for some severe weather over the next 30 minutes or so. Again, the worst of the weather really has passed through the Louisville area. We have generally light to moderate rain now falling in the Louisville area this morning. That will continue for the next couple of hours. May cause some high water on some area streams, creeks, and rivers, so keep that in mind. In general, we're all under a flash flood watch. Any additional rain that occurs over the next 24 hours could create some flooding problems, so even if you don't have a flash flood warning issued for your county this morning, if a heavy thunderstorm rolls across, pretend one is in effect. We also have a tornado watch in effect for our entire viewing area until about noon time today. So a lot of things we are watching out for: flash flooding, severe weather, and we'll have a complete look at that forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Rachel, Barry?
WHAS 11 Storm Team. Meteorologist Chuck Taylor, Ken Schulz, and Beth Andrews. The WHAS 11 Storm Team.
This just in from Ken Schulz, a roof blown off a barn, I guess, in Glendale. Those are the kinds
Hardin
of
County.
reports we're getting. Nothing real serious, though, from what we're hearing.
Some scattered areas where trees have been blown down. I'm sure there's a power outage or two somewhere out there. It's always the case. You have some tree limbs down, that sort of thing. Only warnings out, and we have a bunch of them that I'm going to run down briefly. First of all, severe thunderstorm flash flood warning for LaRue and Nelson counties until 7 o'clock. Another 15 minutes to go on that. Here are flash flood warnings that are out until 9 o'clock. I'm kind of rounding it all off. We have everything ending at different times up until 9 o'clock. In Indiana, Lawrence, Jackson, Lawrence and Jackson. How about that? That's it for flash flood warnings until 9 o'clock. In Kentucky, you have Breckenridge, Meade, Hardin, Bullitt, Jefferson, Barron, Edmondson, Grayson, Hart, Crawford, and Harrison counties. Crawford and Harrison are over in Indiana. I'm getting these all mixed up,
That's
aren't I?
right. People are...
And basically, Lawrence, Jackson, Crawford, and Harrison counties of Indiana under a flash flood warning until 9. Breckenridge, Meade, Hardin, Bullitt, Jefferson, Barron, Edmondson, Grayson, Hart. In Kentucky under a flash flood warning until 9 o'clock this morning. So it's one of those situations where they've been issuing flash flood warnings every time this line moves across. So areas off to our east and south may have the possibility for some flooding as well throughout the morning hours.